So as you make your way across the slippery street away from the police and the ambulance and the scene of carnage at the bakery, the muted sounds of the city swell back into attention. Engines, the distant sound of the trolley clopping hoofbeats from delivery carts, and the ragged voiced, tired sounds of the newspaper boys still trying to flog their papers now, of course, with the evening edition.
Well, we'd best get inside.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah, let's go.
So I'll unlock the locks. I'll let us both in, and I'll head to the back office, to the small safe that I have in the back office to retrieve. Actually, yeah, I would have. Yeah, I'm thinking I would have put the book in there for safekeeping rather than leave it out. So yeah, Alfred will do that. I'll just open up the safe, reverently retrieve the book, and then take it out to the front of the shop. I'll put it on the counter, so there's plenty of space where we can examine it and put notes next to it, whatever. I will draw the blind over the display window, like the large, the front window, which has it's like a display window, so that I want to pull the blind so people can't look in. I'll secure the locks, put the closed, flip it, to closed. It actually was closed, probably still said closed, and so that we have the requisite privacy.
Right. So in with the book is, of course, the other normal items that belong in the safe. No sense that it's been tampered with or disturbed. The book looks exactly the same as it did.
Good.
And that noise that you've come to associate with the book, the crinkling, crackling sound of parchment or dried leaves, has stopped.
Okay. Not sure how I feel about that.
I'm just eyeing this as I haven't seen this book in a while. I'm looking at it. Is it looking much bigger to me? I mean, does this thing look like it's just whole?
It looks whole. Yes, it doesn't have a weird angle to the cover. It has a heft to it that it didn't have. Now you can see Alfred picking it up.
Yeah. A real heft. So that, I know it. That book didn't have any goddamn pages in it, Al. And now, look at it.
It is indeed a book of extraordinary qualities. It defies conventional logic. It's like a living thing.
Let's just sit back and try to think about this rationally for a second. Let's just say that and I kind of crossed myself, the consultant there, let's just say he was on the level. Let's say he wasn't crazy. He wasn't crazy.
You mean Mr. Call, Dr. Edward Call?
Right. Well, let's just say he wasn't crazy. And this book is dangerous or important or does these things, can't be destroyed. He said it couldn't be destroyed. I don't know if you got anything else that is fitting the bill right here and something that can't be destroyed, but that's close. That's real close, right? But he said
Yes.
he said there were copies, or like the other books that got stolen, there's supposedly copies, we think, or he's very concerned that the copies be destroyed. And I remember when I was talking to Ed Driscoll, he was saying that Gavigan was saying, well, you got to get these other books, and then you got to burn them, and then make sure they stay burned. So let's just say both these guys, both of them were members of this Order of the Silver Twilight. Let's just say that they weren't crazy. I'm guessing that we have the right book.
I'm pretty sure that we have the. Yes, we have the original. We have the genuine article.
But in the meantime, okay, so let's just say this is a genuine article. I didn't want to know. So there's two other books out there supposedly are really dangerous. More dangerous than this, and you gave it to your baker, and she killed her whole frickin' family.
It seemed that way.
Okay.
I couldn't keep it here at that time.
Right. No, I know. Because
I had to leave it with someone I could trust.
right.
And we do have it here. She did fulfill that obligation.
So
sorry that everything else happened to her. I feel responsible.
listen, a lot of people just died. I don't think any of us are responsible for it. We don't know what the hell we're dealing with here. So now we've got all these. We've got Call and the freaking mafia. Supposedly are the good guys now, or at least Call is part of this Silver Twilight Order, whatever the hell that is, or Hermetic Order. Yeah, Hermetic. Yeah. I should ask. I should ask Errol some more about that. But so supposedly, these guys are on the level. They're really concerned about these other books, and this book getting into somebody else's hands. And in the meantime, the people whose hands they're afraid of it getting into abduct Cal, put some kind of brand on our chests, and then name the four of us as being some kind of guardians of this book. And they don't just come and take it. They just know we have it. And let's assume it's they or something affiliated with them, because Eddie's talking a lot of nonsense. They just killed all of them. But they don't come here for the book and kill all of us. They just kill all of them. We're on the same page right now, because I know you like to get things straight. It's all right.
I am following along. Yes,
Yeah.
Terrence. Following along.
So I have no idea where the hell these other books are going to be. The people that maybe could give us leads are dead. We're going to have to assume that Albert Gavigan's dead. And I kind of just put my hand on it.
I would imagine. I mean, we saw what was left of his leg twitching in the wall. Yes.
Jesus.
So he may be alive in a strange sort of way. I mean, if his leg is still kicking, maybe he's ascended to some other reality and left his leg behind. Who knows?
So listen, I don't. Can we just stick to books that grow back and not talk about feet in the wall that move and all? But God, you know what quantum mechanics is? You follow that?
That Einstein fella been writing about that in the scientific journals.
Yeah, Bohr and all those fellows, and maybe this. The world is a lot stranger than you think, but there's rational explanations for all this. We just don't know what the hell they are right now. So maybe they talk about all these alternate. I don't understand that, but something explains all this. All right. because there's not magic or anything.
November 1931 is kind to few, least of all the little guys caught between the cold shoreline, the crummy breadline, and the frontline violence of mobsters and G-men. Every day, the news is so bad that people don't even want to line their clothes or shoes with the papers that report it. But the chill talks them into it. Maybe, if they live one more day, it might be work. Although the suffering and the violence are getting worse every day, the papers take any opportunity to write about something else. Scandals, gangsters, socialists and socialites. Hundreds of small fry jump or get jumped every night. But if one rich guy stumbles,
but listen. So the only person that I can think of that might know something about this is Gavigan's older brother, right? You know, is Ed, but nobody's seen him for years, so we don't know if he was alive. But a trip to the estate might not be a bad idea. But what did you find out at the library anyway? I never got a chance to ask you that.
Yes, we need to compare notes, and I agree with you. A trip to the Gavigan estate could be useful. Could also be very dangerous. We don't know on what side of. You have two brothers. It could be that there was a rift over this very book. We don't know.
You know,
we might
maybe.
be walking right into the lion's den.
Do you
Going to
think
the
we haven't?
Gavigans.
You know how many times I've walked in the lion's den in the last 48 hours and didn't even know it?
It has been quite a strange tour so far, hasn't it? Well, let me tell you what I've learned about our friend here. I'll just sort of pat the book. First of all, the book, it can't be destroyed. That was attempted, and we had a little bit. We got off on the wrong foot, the book and I.
Sorry, what?
Well, I wanted to test if it was indeed the indestructible tome.
Yeah, I remember you talking about putting it in the oven.
Yeah. And then I got burned. And
whoa! Back up! You put it in the oven.
I did.
I told you not
actually
to
on top of the oven. I put it in a skillet, and then I tried to put a little olive oil on there and
olive oil.
Yeah, and tried to damage the book, but then I was burned. And you really can't blame the book. I mean, it was it's sort of like if you were abusing an animal, it's going to lash out, try to protect itself. So I don't hold it responsible for this little burn. It'd be like if you reached out suddenly to an animal that wasn't used to kindness and bit you on the tip of the finger. So anyway, but we did establish that the book is indeed has remarkable resilience.
So it didn't just blow up in Eddie's office. You try to fry it.
Oh,
like
right.
It's
with olive oil.
With
With a nice from the North End. I know a guy that can.
Jesus.
It's extra virgin. It's wonderful. You can make some wonderful. Anyway, let's. Yes. So.
Try to find. It's a book. It's not a cat.
Well, it seems to have almost living qualities. You know. It seems to know how to take care of itself. That's for sure. I've come to a new appreciation of this tome, and really haven't spent a lot of time actually reading the damn thing.
What do you mean? Well, you've been trying to fry it.
I tried to fry it. I mean, that was just the basic, have we got the real deal or not? And that would have determined if we had the real deal or not. And I do think we have the real deal.
And determine that before. But okay, yeah. So we got that.
Yeah.
And now you're talking to it, and it's like your cat, or it's like it's got feelings. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, you know, I mean, why not err on the side of civility and kindness? This book has had many lives. If you think of all the hands that it's passed through, I sort of think of you and I as chapters in its life rather than the other way around.
Okay, so yeah, enough about the book. So tell me what you found out about this at the library.
Fair enough. Well, I put the book safely away so that it would not be taken by anyone. So happily, here we are. Yes, but I did go to the number of things happened. Let me go back here and recall what's been happening. I went to the public library and did a bit of research on the book. Let me see here. I've got my notes. Let me go back through my notes here and tell you what's what.
Okay.
Yes, here we are. So apparently there was I might be getting where I did what. I might be getting a little confused here, but so bear with me. If you remember part of this was when we're with Errol, the newspaper man. Let's see, 1928 scandal. Order of the Silver Twilight. Does this sound familiar to you, Terrence?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, no. Tell me what you got, because
let me go back to my earlier notes here. I have to go. It's almost as if I'm living two lives, and there's so many other things that have gone on. I need to refresh my own memory by looking at my notes here. Hang on one moment.
I know the feeling.
Yes.
Well, listen.
Yes. All right. All right. Just take a look here. Where is it? So many notes. We'll find it. Here we are. Okay. So there was there's a roll top desk. Let's start with that. That I remembered I picked up while I was researching. Sorry, I'm all a little all over the place here, but I have in the shop here, I have a dark roll top desk made of black walnut. And something about it jarred my memory, something in connection with the book and the rings that we've seen on people's fingers and all of this. So
and I just look in my pocket and I was like, realize completely forgetting what I've got in my pocket.
So I remembered that I had this black walnut roll top desk that I had picked up in an estate sale.
It's just over there.
And it was well, what's that, Anthony? Sorry,
it's just over there.
It's just over there. Yes, right over there. I picked it up. It had been abandoned in an old farmhouse, the Scott Farm, and the farm. That's that's its elder history. In more recent years, it was a club for gentlemen. The farm had been bought, the property had been rehabbed, and the domain became a club for the well-to-do men of the city. However, something went down at that club. The club closed, and the city foreclosed on the property. And I was able to pick up this desk. And you'll notice, as I walk over to the desk, you'll notice the star motif, the same as we've been seeing lately. I found a hidden compartment in the desk. And wouldn't you know, a small journal was secreted therein.
You just found this now?
Yes, the last little bit. Not right
Holy-
now, but I mean this
Yeah.
this all happens. It's written in cipher. All in the same handwriting. In fact, here it is. I'll share it with you. And once again, you'll see that strange sigil is represented all over the journal.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just taking the ring right out of my pocket and just like plopping it on the table right next to the book.
Yeah. So that's when I decided to go take myself to the Boston Public Library to do a bit of research on all this sigil business. So I have not yet looked into reading the actual book that we have here. This sort of put me on a little bit of a different tack. I went to the library and I looked up the sigil, and it was associated with a local club, none other than the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were the ones that had outfitted the Scott Farm. So the Silver Twilight was that, the Silver Twilight Lodge was indeed that club for gentlemen, which had been the Scott Farm back in the day. I did find a news story. There was a fire.
Yeah.
At the lodge. Albert Gavigan had withdrawn his membership and his financial backing for the lodge.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that was in one of the paper reports, the newspaper reports. I got a sense that the reporting at the time was conspicuously restrained, almost as if the people who were reporting maybe were hesitant to let out the whole truth. Perhaps they were protecting disgraced lodge members. Perhaps they were under duress of some kind. But it was a very circumspect series of articles on the dissolution of the lodge and the fire. So it's I tried to do more research, but the library was closing and I ran out of time. When I left the library, that's when I found our friend Tommy waiting for me at the steps of the library. And we decided to warm up with a cup of coffee, something to eat at the diner. And that's where we ran into you.
Yeah, and yeah, next thing you know, dead people are trying to kill us.
Yeah, so I think we've got something to go off of here. We've got the old Scott Farm. It might be worth going there as well and seeing if we can. It may just be ashes and foundations, but it may be worth our time to poke around where this Hermetic order would have their gatherings. Maybe there's still something there, all connected with this sigil.
Maybe, you know,
So-
all that Carter was able to tell me, Errol. I feel bad for never calling his real name, but he never told me.
And then, of course, we found out that. I'm trying to remember if yes, we were together. There was missing persons reports in the same vicinity of the old lodge. Like currently, if you go back in the papers, there's actually
really
yes, there are missing persons.
Yeah, there's missing persons reports all the time, but in the vicinity of
the vicinity, it just seemed to be sort of rather interesting that suddenly yes, and the police are keeping it on the hush hush.
Oh, you think they're doing it now?
Well, yes, that's Tommy was telling me about this, that there were some missing people. It gets, in his line of work, he hears about these things.
Oh,
and that there are missing persons in the vicinity of and we figured out now that we knew about this old club that it's these people are missing in the vicinity of the old lodge. So I think
anybody that he knows, or just in general, not members of his gang, none of that stuff?
No, he didn't seem to make it seem like it was members of the gang. So my feeling is, and this is could be an erroneous hypothesis, that this book is somehow connected to this lodge. Maybe they had a library. Maybe they had a collection of books, and this was part of the collection. Somehow it's all swirling around this occult society of learned men, gentlemen. So I think we need to research the Scott Farm. I think it's an avenue. I think maybe going to see Gavigan could be certainly an option. I think researching or the Scott Farm, or visiting the Scott Farm might be an option. And then actually taking some time to acquaint ourselves with the contents of this actual book.
And maybe, can you read ciphers? Are you any good at figuring those things out?
Not particularly. But of course, there's two books now. There's the book.
Right. Well, I mean, you can read that, can't you?
Amazing qualities. Yes, that one I have a facility with Latin, so that one I can indeed read. But this other smaller notebook of sigils and ciphers, I'm not sure I could crack that code. But maybe if we read the book, maybe it will have some relation to this other notebook.
Right, I gotcha. Because I'm figuring if it's a substitution cipher, something, one of those easy things I read about, then it should be easy. But if it's not, if it's something really complicated like they used to use in wartime, like the Great War and stuff, then it's a whole different thing.
Right, and I mean, we are in Boston. There are all sorts of experts on cryptography at places like MIT, Harvard, Boston College. Right.
Well, what I got from that order, really just mostly from Errol and stuff he had me look up, is, it jives with what you said. Somewhere around 20, I think there was a fire, but there was a whole to do about, or investigation about them holding people prisoner.
Goodness gracious!
The reports were they were abducting people, holding them prisoner. It didn't give me a location, but if you say the lodge was there, and now you've got Tommy saying that people are disappearing again, that seems significant. It wasn't that long ago.
No,
I think it was like 20.
Dr. Call was a member, was a contemporary of all of this.
Right, and it looks like a whole bunch of important people, like politicians and what have you, were in there. Both the Gavigan brothers were involved with that. I didn't hear that Al actually revoked his membership and his support.
He did,
but then the other thing is, like, Ed, nobody's seen him since, hasn't been in the paper since 26. It's a long time,
Yeah.
Al's usually kind of like the spokesperson, a reluctant guy, comes and says, well, Ed said this, Ed said that, we are doing this or doing that. And he looks about as comfortable as, I don't know, doesn't look very comfortable.
So as I see it, I do see there are three potential avenues for investigation. There is going to the Gavigan estates, which may or may not be walking into the lion's den.
Right.
There is going to the location of this one-time lodge house, Scott Farm, whatever, poking around, seeing if there's anything physical there that could give us an inkling, and or researching a deeper history of this Twilight Lodge, Scott Farm. Maybe there's a history to this farm. Maybe there's a reason that the lodge picked it up. Maybe it just wasn't a convenient and affordable piece of real estate. Maybe it has a deeper history. We don't know.
Okay.
And then finally, or the third prong would be spending some time with this remarkable book and this little notebook of ciphers and seeing what we might find within the pages of that which is right under our noses.
Well, now that you put it that way, going to the Gavigan's place might not be the best idea until we got some more information, because who knows? They could just be dead. And if Al pulled out, I didn't realize Alfred pulled out of the, or
Yes, Mr. Alfred Gavigan.
or Albert pulled out.
Albert, excuse me. I'm Alfred. He's Albert.
Yeah. If Gavigan, if Gavigan pulled out,
yes,
yeah,
Gavigan pulled out of yes, he hurriedly distanced himself financially and otherwise, and no wonder if there was rumors of them holding people captive there. I mean, and if for what purpose? And
well,
I mean,
let me tell you, I've been held captive recently. And the crap I said, but that wasn't by them. Unless they're part of the same organization, do you think it's some kind of split?
Yes, it could be.
There's a story in here somewhere, but like I don't even know where the hell I can publish it.
Yeah, you're right. It could be warring members of this secret society that are at each other's throats, and this book is something of a prize. Could be something like that.
And lucky us, we got it.
Could be, yes. We seem to have. Yes, it's in good hands. You're in good hands, my friend, and I'll pass.
Would you stop talking to the book? All right, listen.
Well,
anybody that might? Do we trust anybody to like look at that cipher? Because maybe we could drop it off with somebody, and then go to this farm or whatever it is, or the ruins, and keeping in mind that if you want to get abducted, I know two places you can do it. You can go down by the docks, and I can show you the building, or apparently people are getting abducted or disappearing over there. So.
Yes, I have no desire to go to the wharves.
Okay, well then we can get abducted over there instead. Sounds like a plan.
I hope not to get abducted anywhere. But so
might take a lot of work to abduct you. They might need a few men.
Well, that's right. Since I did put up my fists and put up quite a fight outside the diner.
You're a pugilist.
Totally
you'd give Eddie a run for his money. You'd give Eddie a run for his money. I tell you.
That's how you have to treat a bully sometimes. You have to stand up.
Just rubbing my jaw at this point.
So,
while I was away, I heard most of your discussion of the details, but did you show or take a look at the cipher yourselves during the conversation?
Did not.
I had handed the little notebook. I said, I found this in the desk, secreted away. I had handed it to Terrence, and then we just continued our discourse. But
yeah, I didn't say it. I kind of imagining kind of flipping through it a little bit, and then just kind of.
I think that's what most people do when they get a book. So it's a soft leather cover. It's an artifact of an earlier age,
right?
With handwritten notes and whatnot inside. And so what I would like from you both, now that you're there with the document, if you could check your idea roll, right? Just roll percentile dice.
Mm-hmm. 57.
I got an 80 off of 90, so I made it by 10%.
57 out of 60, so
Okay. So, like you're flipping through, you're having your conversation. And what is a common thing with many ciphers, right, is that it's some sort of substituting words or substituting symbols or whatnot. And this seems to be primarily substituting symbols, but the patterns on the page seem recognizable. Single letter or a single symbol, 2 symbols, 3 symbols, 5 symbols, longer strings of symbols, but arranged, like if out of the corner of your eye it would look like newsprint, too small to read, and then you focus in on it and the words resolve. So it could be something as simple as a simple replace cipher.
Right. And I've
It could be far more
past.
complicated than that, but
Right. Well, yeah. So we might be able to crack this ourselves. I don't know.
Right. Either here with resources here, or we need more that we can go to the library.
Well,
Back to the library.
Well, listen, the substitution cipher doesn't take very long at all. If it's just one letter at all, and you just try a bunch of words, and it'll happen really fast. Usually you can crack those in a little while. That's why they don't use them very often. But
very good. Would you like to take some time spend some time with the notebook, and I'll spend some time with the book, and see if I get an inkling of.
Sure. You know what? Yeah,
I
don't want to take real long on it. If I can't crack this thing in a couple hours, then it's definitely not one of those. I should be able to at least start to get words like and all the usual suspects.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long day, full of adventuresome events. I think the first thing we should do is get some supper, and then once we've had a good meal, we settle ourselves in for an evening of reading and research.
I don't know if I got much of an appetite, but yeah. You got something? You got something you can make here, so I can just kind of.
Well, let's see. I might have some spam. I don't know if there was spam in the 20s.
There were canned meats.
Yes, I may have some cans of deviled ham and maybe some sardines and a few other things. Mostly canned. It's mostly. I mostly go out to eat most nights. I have a few places I favor here in town, so I keep some supplies on hand. But again, it's all canned.
Oh God, Smalls, let's go. Get your coat.
I mean, we have to eat. Food for the body means food for the mind.
So I'm grabbing some paper. I got my notebook anyway. My little reporter's notebook, and grab my pen and a couple of pencils, and just figure, okay, well, I'm going to go with him, but I'm going to take this little cipher book. And as he's stuffing himself,
all right,
eat some crackers, and
I'll take the book, and I'll bring it back to the safe, and I'll kind of look over my shoulder at Terrence, seeing that he's preoccupied with his pencils and his overcoat, and I'll just say,
"Oh, I'm sorry for having to put you in here in the dark again, but it won't be for very long. I'm just going out to get something to eat."
Now, just on that for a moment, Terrence.
Yeah.
Could you spot hidden for me, please?
Yeah. 11.
Okay. Not now. Now he's just making his way over to where the safe is, like before, as you're getting ready. But earlier, when he went to the safe to get the book out of the safe, he didn't take it out of the safe. He took it out of his briefcase. So there's this charade of going over to the safe, unlocking the safe, but taking the book out of the case and bringing it to you, and the journal as well. They were with him the whole time.
So that, yeah, and he had the briefcase with him as we were out as well. Is that the idea?
Yeah. And Alfred, in
Yes.
your hands, the book is not like a heartbeat, but it's it's pulsing in a way. Inside its own covers is pulsing. Like shifting muscles beneath the skin. Right. Almost
that's
like a moth or caterpillar, right? Or butterfly erupting from its cocoon.
all right. That's an eerie feeling. I'm gonna make a sanity roll. I know you haven't asked me to make a sanity roll, but
I
that
was well on my way to do so.
yeah, that would be just the tactile sensation of that would
Yeah.
probably be thoroughly unsettling.
Yeah. A
So I'm
disgorging
gonna,
feeling, the flexing and working the
yeah,
way of the innards to the outers.
I'm almost expecting a swarm of vermin to come coursing out of its, like just somehow bust out of its text block and up my arms type of thing, something really creepy like that. Um,
If we were playing a
so
different game, I would say don't give them ideas, but we're not.
all right, I am gonna go with a roll. Oh, it's a 0-8. And I have 58 sanity right now. So 0-8. So that's a pass. I don't know what that means mechanically.
Well, it means that there must be some rational, physical explanation for this, and it reveals itself to you very quickly. The pages, the entire set of pages disgorge themselves. They are ejected from the spine
Oh
of the
no.
covers.
Okay. All right. I'm all aghast at this, and I will be picking up the pages, trying to keep them collated.
They're still stuck together with an almost viscous, gluey substance.
Okay. So did the pages come out? Are they coming out like a almost like a
whole
3-ring?
set. The whole set is coming out together.
Oh, so the whole text
separate
block.
from the.
All right. So the whole text block is separating itself, has separated from like the spine
Yes.
and the boards. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to see if I will say, oh no, but before I just try to slide it back in, I'm going to see what may have caused this. Is it just a loosening of the old fibers? Is there something that was in there that was applying pressure? In other words, there might have been something slid down the spine of the book, between the spine and the text block. There could have been something, something. I'm going to give this moment. I'm going to examine the artifact to see what may have occurred just now.
The stitching to physically attach it to the spine has definitely been severed. And the glue itself, the slathering of glue on the inside edge, is not dry. It's not rubbery. It's glistening and wet, like something fresh and alive.
All right. Anything?
All of this is taking time, Terrence. There's a.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah.
watching the whole. They said maybe you fried it a little too long there. Used a little too much olive oil.
And this book continues to exhibit most peculiar qualities.
I'm going to sort of gingerly, before I just kind of put the spine back, I'm going to see if I see the gooiness of it. There's no other artifacts. There's no other hidden bits and pieces. At this point, all right, yeah, I'll just gently sort of put the book back together. I'll just kind of tilt it back in to its cradle of the spine and the boards, and say, well, let's you can't be outgrowing you don't want to outgrow. You've had this nice binding for a while,
You don't want to be going and leaving that behind now, do you?
Oh yeah,
fits
it's
you
had it for hundreds of years or about a few hours, depending on how you look at it. You know, why don't you just kind of put it in the safe?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. Why don't you relax and spend a little time in here, and we'll be back in just a little bit. I'm going to have something to eat, and then we'll give you a proper read, okay?
I'm gonna lean in and watch him put this in the safe.
And I'll
I'm not gonna say anything to him. I'm just gonna kind of lean in.
You know, there's a variety of things in the shop. There's furniture, and there's silver tray services, and there's a lot of books and crystal and a variety of stuff that's been here a long time. Right. The roll top desk is has a new look to it, like it's been cleaned and examined. Right? The small journal set as a leather cover. It's a lot of pages. There's a lot of small writing in a journal style, like, you know, just looking in a not a specific way, but in just a glance at the pages. You know, it's like dates and then text. Some of them are long entries, some of them are short entries. This feels like a diary.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of like gonna like look on as like maybe my touchstone. I was like, there's dates. If I can figure those out, at least I can get something. You know, as long as I can find some spot where like there's words that I think there's certain things they must be, I can try a little something. Either it's gonna pop out or it doesn't. You know.
Right. Now it will take hours and hours and hours of labor to go through once you know the cipher, and it'll take hours to decode the cipher, but it could be doable. It looks enough like English or French.
Right. Right. All right. Well, yeah, that's something that, like, you know, maybe I could mess with it for a little while, but it seems like it's a good idea to get to the barn or the farm at some point. But if Alfred wants to have dinner, which I'm assuming is going to be the case, if he got to dinner, you know, and forgetting exactly what time of day it is at this point, but yeah,
it's early evening.
Early evening, yeah. Well, it seems like, you know, maybe
you had to drop Eddie off for medical attention. Finally,
right, exactly. So we're not going to go. I'm not going to go to some place where people might be getting abducted tonight. So perhaps after a little supper, I would work on maybe see if I can crack the cipher or start to crack the cipher. You know,
but it's hard to think. It's hard to concentrate. You know, the urge to talk, the urge to explain, to push these ideas out of your head is like a small whirlwind inside your mind to explain and then over explain, then re-explain and deny. The pressure is there. And over it all, of course, is that step drag. And sometimes the sound is really loud, like in Eddie's office. And sometimes it's faint and more desperate, like here.
Still just keeps going on. Jesus. And I'm just gonna kind of go like look out. Well, just look out the window, just see if I can see anything. You know, just vainly looking for something that might be somebody that might be making that sound, even though
nothing. Just passersby, right? People going home from work late, right? People stumbling, somehow intoxicated, and on their way home. More public transportation than private.
Right. And God, I'd love to go home, but this place has 4 locks. Not that it's going to do us a hell of a lot of good. As opposed to like my crummy one chain lock. You know, that I could break through if I really wanted to. So I'm going to try to just kind of look at this cipher, you know.
All right then.
even though my concentration may be a little bad.
All right. So again, with your idea roll, but you might not have time,
Right.
or concentration, but roll percent.
I should do that. And clearly, with 75, my concentration is not phenomenal.
So you've got your notepad and your pen, and you're able to start. Well, this could be this, and this could be this, but just every time you're getting a sense of something, there's again that insistent thump, right? That's that stamp, and then that painful drag. And now, on top of it all, right, as Alfred is over at the counter by the safe, trying to assess what's going on with the book, while that's happening, right, that gnawing, chewing, crumpling paper sound has returned.
You hear that too, Al?
I'm sorry, what? What? I got a little distracted there for a moment.
That crumpling paper sound has returned.
You're right. Now that you mention it, it has.
How is that?
I think it's the book's way of trying to communicate with us. I wonder. You may think I'm crazy, Terrence, but we've seen a lot of crazy things the last couple of days. In the old stories, when sorcerers would bind spirits to objects, genies in lamps, that sort of thing. I wonder if there's something going on with this book. Almost as if it has I'm not going to say a full intelligence, but some sort of a life principle, an animating something that's been, whether it's been the centuries of people obsessing over it that have imbued it with a certain false life, or perhaps a ritual in the book. We haven't taken time to study it that has called forth something to inhabit its form. But the mythologies are rife with examples of otherwise inanimate objects having cursed properties or semi-sentient properties. So I'd always thought it was a myth.
Yeah, key word, Mac, is mythology.
And yet we've seen so many things these last couple of days that would argue otherwise. I think we need to keep our feet on the ground, but open our minds to the concepts the thought that we may be stepping into a reality that is very different than the one that we've been accustomed to.
I'm so fed up right now with him talking babble and the sound of this chewing and the sound of the step drag. I'm just, Rachel's like, would you knock it off? And I'm like yelling at the sound of this step drag.
There's no need to yell. No,
I'm not yelling at you.
You're going to get the book upset.
You hear that?
No, but you don't upset the book. I mean,
come on, you hear that just as well as I do. That freaking step, that limp, that freaking god awful
I know,
limp.
I've heard that too, but there's no need to have an argument. You just need to settle down. Let's have a good meal, and you're just hungry. That's all it is. You're hangry. You just need to. We'll settle down. We'll have a good meal. We'll come back and we'll do some reading. And don't let your mind be as we must open our minds. Not so much that our brains fall out, but let us kind of be somewhat amorphous in our thinking, a little plastic. And,
yeah, sure, Al. Here, I'll do that. I'll do that, Smalls. What do you think that is?
The dragging of the feet and the crumpling of the paper.
No, I had, one at a time.
Well,
You think that's Gavigan?
what could very well be. I mean,
But there's
I'm
no such thing as
wondering-
ghosts.
the new physics that are coming to light every day with Einstein and
Yeah, I was talking about that. Yeah,
and you're right, and Hubble and all the rest. They argue that perhaps there are more dimensions than just the three that we walk through
right.
every day. So it could be that Gavigan is somehow trapped in another dimension,
Without a
trying
foot.
to get back. Well, that would explain the dragging. He's left part of himself behind.
Which is still twitching on the wall. Jesus.
Right. So
I'm going to
could
ask you
be-
for another drink, but don't give it to me.
Well, let us get drunk on the ideas of science and physics and
Oh, let's go eat something.
realities that may be opening up before us. I mean, it's most exciting when you think about it. Disconcerting, certainly, but we must tread carefully, keep our eyes and ears and minds open to all possibilities.
You don't mind if
Alfred,
I
as-
sack over here tonight, do you?
Not at all.
You got
As
4
you have your
bucks.
hand on the book, there was something in that front matter that you read that's resonating with what you're saying now. There's a long section about like calling to like.
Mhm. I think this book has perhaps its essence in another realm. There's an astral version of this book. This may just be the physical manifestation of an astral concept. And now our friend Gavigan has ventured past that barrier, and he's with the book, or is in that reality. He's trapped, perhaps. But I think there's much more to this than that we must discover.
And there's like scanning Smalls' arms. What part of his arms I can see. Been down in the Chinese section of town there, have you?
What's that about the
Never
Chinese?
mind. Never mind.
Would you like
Listen.
some Chinese food?
No, sure. That
I-
sounds like a good idea. Let's go eat something, and then
I know this little place just off of Washington, just off the theater district. There's a
Great.
wonderful, amazing Peking duck.
let's go do that, and we can come back, and
Ah,
you can read me
capital
stories
idea.
out of that damn book because I can't make heads or tails out of that cipher. And I'm not going to this Scott farm until in the middle of the night. We can go there tomorrow.
No, we need to go to Chinatown right now. We need to get ourselves a fine Peking duck, have ourselves a proper meal, and then we'll come back and read. Sounds like a wonderful evening.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get my guidebook to Boston while we're fumbling about. Maybe I can do with it now.
Probably in the roll top desk.
Ah, here it is. Yes.
Look at that.
See if there's anything about Chinatown in here. Let's see. All right.
So once again, you're seeing Alfred Smalls dithering in front of the safe. The book is still out.
Right. So, Smalls, you going to put the book in the safe, or are you just going to carry it around with you?
What's that? I already. Oh, here it is. Of course. Yes, it's into the safe. It must go. Just let me look up this restaurant. Make sure it's still. Yeah. All right.
So is the
All
safe
right.
open?
Safe's open.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to pick up the book while he's doing that.
Be
So
careful.
put it in the safe, but very gingerly. Like I really don't want to be touching this thing in the first place. Just picking it up. Like let's put it in the safe.
So it is loose. It has a looseness that it didn't have
Right.
before.
Right.
And it fits in the safe. There's a variety of other things, papers and whatnot, notes inside.
And I look, and I just kind of like, very sorry, we'll be back. And I'm closing the door, twirling the knob.
What about the journal? Is it going in as well, or are you taking it with you?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in there just because I've had it with that. It's that words are dancing in front of me, so I'll just pop the journal right on top of it.
Okay.
Have you had fun, you too? Let's close the safe up. Keep each other company.
Outside, more snow has started to fall. And it's not outside the realm of possibility for snow in November, of course, but it's quite a heavy snowfall for November. So people are bundling themselves up, and they're getting off the street, and
Yeah, not much farther. Maybe we should take a trolley.
You're dying. I'm broke at this point.
All right,
spent all my money on Errol Flynn. I mean Carter.
Yes, you will have to
All
go
right.
to the bank to withdraw some more cash.
All right, I'll fumble out a few coins in the cold night air, tender them over to the conductor, and we'll ride to that part of the city.
Right.
So get ourselves
You
some
make
Peking duck.
Make your way into Chinatown, and of course it's like stepping into another world. The scents, the cooking smells, and the spice smells from various shops and from people's homes. Like everywhere else in the city, anybody on the street is doing their best to get off the street as quickly as they can. But outside of some shops, of course, are cooking contraptions powered by steam. And there's some young teenage boy relegated to standing out in the snow to tend the steam cooker and the delightful secrets being steamed within. So there's that dry scent of frequent steam, and like the tea kettle when the water level gets down too low, and there are sudden bursts of foreign language to the left and to the right and up above, and yeah. The restaurant, by contrast, is an oasis of calm.
Here it is. Whole what funds? Delicate Chinese restaurant. I don't think his actual name is Whole What Fun, but I think he's made it something of a ploy to bring in customers from across the city.
It'll work this time of year, I suppose.
Yes, he's an excellent chef.
Christmas is coming.
Yes.
The duck is growing fat. Yeah.
Yes. But Whole What does a magnificent dish. Maybe the last name is Fun. I don't know if it's, but it just, to my Whole What Fun makes me, but it could be. I never really asked. I thought it would be improper to ask, but
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
But Whole
Let's
What, he goes by Whole What.
All right. Yeah, let's get some noodles. We'll get some Peking duck.
A Peking duck, certainly. I'll ask for my usual table.
So
one more chair, of course.
Dinner goes smoothly and deliciously, and some sense of relaxation begins to seep in.
Ah, isn't this lovely? Loosen the tie, tuck in the napkin.
Yeah, I almost feel human.
They always provide me with a fork. I know you're supposed to eat this with the traditional sticks that are used, but I could never master that. My fingers are too small and stubby. But maybe you can have a go at it, Terrence.
Yeah.
What? Could we have some of those delightful chopsticks that you use?
Like that.
Well, look at that. Look at that. You've already mastered it. You've only been here 15 minutes and you've got it down. I've been at that for years. I can't get it to work.
We all have our talents, Smalls. We all have our talents.
Hmm.
So you've been spending a lot of time with that book, haven't you?
I mean, it's only been a few days, but
Yeah, but I mean,
we're
like, you
getting
haven't
on.
really let it out of your sights ever since the bakery, huh?
Well, it's very important. We can't, well, I put it in the safe. I have let it out of my sight. I had to,
You didn't take it out of the safe. I watched you. I put it in the safe just now, but you've had that book in your
did.
briefcase.
No, I put it in the safe when I was doing research. Honest.
I just know what I saw. I'm not going to fight with
Well,
you.
you must have been mistaken.
Maybe I was.
Try the hot and sour soup.
That sound, the paper sound, is growing more intense.
You know, that book was full. That sound stopped. And the pages fell out. It started again. What do you think that means?
I'm going to reserve opinion or judgment until we know more.
What are we going to find when we get back? We open that safe.
The book and the
That
notebook. Well, we'll find the book, the notebook. We'll find some chairs. Make a pot
You
of
know-
tea.
Yeah.
Have some
Okay. Well,
crackers.
yeah. Forget about the
Maybe-
food, Al. Come on, Smalls. we let's just say you're right. It's a magic book. It's got a personality. It's got an astral, whatever,
Astral
asteroid. It's got an
presence,
asteroid,
yes.
whatever. It's got the asteroids. Listen, it's got all that stuff, right? Quantum mechanics. Yeah. All that junk.
Quantum, yes.
Right.
Hypermathematical.
But we didn't. Whatever. Listen, I never could figure that stuff out. But the scientists know what they're talking about. Listen, I first see that thing. It's got no pages, and that damn sound is in my head. And I come over to your place, and it's full, and that sound is gone. And then maybe it's the hot oil you put all over the damn thing, but the pages fall out, and that sound is back. And what I'm going to say is, how many books are we going to find when we get back? Are those guys in that hermetic order copying these books? Or am I going crazy? Never mind. Never mind.
Well, it could be.
I'm going to open up my fortune cookie at this point. I was like, how the hell is this?
It could be like the moon. I mean, when you think about when the ancients looked up at the moon was always there, round and whole. And yet, at certain times, when they looked up, they could see only a fingernail's worth of the moon. And then some more time would go by, and more of the moon would be revealed. And at other times,
because of where the Earth is,
well,
yeah,
we know that now. But at the time, it seemed very mysterious. So think of it this way, Terence. That book, if it exists in another dimension, we are going through certain phases of reality, and it's going to get slimmer and get larger and do certain things, not because it's we are simply observing it through our lens, but the totality of it may exist across dimensions. And so what seems to us an embiggening and a lessening may be faulty perception, or perhaps not faulty, but we're looking at things through our lens. We must learn to broaden our lens, think differently about the nature of things, and we may indeed get closer to the truth by doing so. You're going to finish that wonton?
No.
Oh,
So wait.
I'll take some of that.
You mean it's like, you ever read that Flatland book?
Flatland? No, I've
Yeah,
not read any
yeah,
books on
yeah.
Flatland.
By Abbott.
No,
Abbott.
I
No, it's the
no.
whole thing where, like, you're just two-dimensional, and you're, if you're two-dimensional and you can't see stuff, and like maybe if a ball goes through it and it just looks like a circle. Is that kind of stuff you're
No,
talking about?
no, that's fast, but sounds fascinating. But yeah, that sounds very much like this Flatland person might be onto something, or sort of echoing what I've
I remember that part of
what
it.
I've been circling around. So, yes, well, let's see what they have for dessert.
So yeah, okay. So you're saying the book is like doing like that ball, and sometimes it's here and sometimes it's there, and Jesus. Well, that would
Yeah.
make a lot more sense than the thing just reproducing itself.
Yes, it could be any number of those things.
All right. Well, I got to go to the bank eventually. Not right now.
hmm.
And I'll put a buck. We'll bet a buck. You're betting it's some kind of hyperdimensional thing, and I'm going to put a buck down that we're going to find $2. How about that? And I hope to God you win.
I'm not a betting man, Terrence. I'm not.
All right, fine.
I'm
Then we
not.
won't bet.
I'm not. No. We certainly could make a gentleman's wager, or a gentleman's. But I'm not.
Dinner.
Well, no. This one, no. Or
Well, I don't have any money on me now. You know what I mean.
tomorrow night.
In the
then,
future.
In the future, that's fine. That's
I'll
fine.
get you a bowl of soup.
Very good. Well, let's see. I think we should ask Howat for the steamed pea flour cake is delicious. We should take that some of that back with us, and some jujube cake would be nice, and some mung beans. Maybe some steamed sponge cake to go along with it. So we could get a take-home package. I mean, it's going to be a light night of reading.
All right, yeah.
Maybe some
Let's do
dumplings to
that.
go.
So as
Let's do that.
the takeaway food is packaged, the server comes over demurely and presents you both with a small fried cookie, from which protrudes a small slip of paper.
Get mine open and taking out the paper. Scared to look at it.
Terrence, it's printed in a kind of reddish with a hint of blue, right? Very cheap printing on very cheap paper, and there's some symbols and there's numbers, scattered across, maybe lucky numbers or something like that, or lucky dates. But the printing, which presumably is in Chinese as well as English, there's some characters that match the sign outside and that sort of stuff. But what it says in English is, if one's book is empty, ask how it became so.
Jeez. What's yours say? I'm just all holding my fortune out. What's yours say there, Smalls?
Well, let's find out.
I got a real humdinger here.
And Smalls says, loneliness is the armor of the coward.
So you should get married there, Smalls. Well, the only date you're going to have tonight is me. So one's book is empty. Ask how it became so. The universe has got a funny sense of humor.
Well, shall we head back to the shop?
Yeah, sure. How'd that book become empty the first time? Big flash of light. No Gavigan. Eddie's knocked out. Got me.
Well, let's take our Chinese desserts back, perhaps some of Ho Fun's signature noodles, and head back to the shop.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Back at the shop.
Yeah, I'm gonna
The
plop in
closer
a
you
seat.
get to the door, the closer you get to the 4 locks, the louder that chewing sound is.
Oh, really? Yeah, I should sleep in my place. Oh yeah, let's go in. Smalls, you gonna get the book?
Oh, certainly.
I don't know the
I'll head-
combination. I just know how to lock it.
I'll head over to the safe.
Okay.
I'm just sitting back with this one. Steeping my fingers, waiting.
It opens. No trouble. Inside, there is the book, but it's not laying flat like Terrence put it in there. The spine of the book, the wide spine of the book, is pressed up against the top of the safe. And there's again separation between the text block and the spine and boards of the book.
You know, if I didn't know any better, I'd say this book is molting. As if it's outgrown its shell. Like a big man eager to be rid of a small coat.
It wants a new cover.
Perhaps. Well, I'll take it out nonetheless. And I'll take out the little book of ciphers. And we'll get ourselves comfortable. Why don't we take these upstairs? We have my living quarters up above the shop, humble as they are. There's a couple of kind of worn wingback chairs, well worn, a little worn ottoman, some lamps.
So, juggling the big book and the little book, it quickly becomes apparent that the separated text block of pages has its cover with its burnt and seared and oily sheen, and the brown stain of revealed secret writing, and the cover has a pristine first page.
Well, you want to buy me dinner tomorrow? We're just going to count this as dinner.
Well,
Never mind. You know what? It wasn't exactly. I wasn't exactly right. 50-50. Yeah.
right. It's the same book. It's just revealing more of itself to us.
God, you're going around the trick and twist. What the hell was in that Peking duck?
It was delicious. All right. I'm going to get us settled in with our study materials and
Okay.
settle in for a night of reading and study and penciled notes. And
Will you do an all-nighter?
yeah, I will go until weariness sets in. I mean, I know we're weary, we've had quite a day or two, but I'm feeling good about the food. I'm feeling I'm in my place of creature comforts. I feel like this is what I do. I look over things like this, so I feel like I'm ready to go. I'm engaged, I'm in the zone, and I will go as long as until if I find
as you
myself
can.
nodding off over the book, then I'll know it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, I was lying,
Okay.
Smalls. I really do want to drink. I'm going to stay up and because who the hell can sleep with that freaking noise? Just one. But I'm just gonna maybe mess with that cipher, and if Smalls
Yeah,
starts babbling
anybody-
about the crap he's read in this book, then great, I'll stop and listen to him.
Okay. So this is, well, for Smalls, it's Latin. It's trying to decipher this Latin. Now, you already know going into this effort of reading the book that there's going to be a lot of vocabulary that you know how to relatively pronounce, but that you know you don't know the meaning of, and there's some unusual math or geometry which may not be your forte either. Right, so we're starting out on the footing of, even if you can read it, you're not in possession of the information to understand it. And as for the cipher, it's just a lot of work. It's hours and hours of work, and you're already starting off on rocky footing, thinking that you can't get it, and being obsessed with that chewing sound, that distracting noise, right? Of the two things pulling on your attention, it's the noise that keeps winning. Okay, but as the hours go by, right, as the night deepens and the temperature drops and the snow continues to fall until the city becomes silent outside, like the whole city's been dumped beneath a heavy blanket. Things begin to take shape. The book, The Mysteries of the Worm, the mysteries being revealed by Ludvig Prinn to his writer, right, are the mysteries of magic. And Prinn has noticed in his travels around the world that there are things which seem eternal and things which seem horribly temporary. And as he fills up his mortal span of days, this became more and more of his concern. The more war and bloodshed and death that he saw, the more and more that this became a concern. How is it that the transient or the ephemeral could be made permanent or eternal? What qualities do we share with the enduring? Right? We fragile beings, what part of us can be drawn and connected together to emulate, imitate, or maybe become these more lasting things? Is it possible to live beyond our span of days and see wonders not yet realized? This was the thing that drove him. It drove him through foreign lands. It drove him into foreign languages and observing foreign art. He's telling the story in a very conversational tone through the whole frontispiece. And he notices that the primary principle that makes this change possible is that through all things there are threads of similarity and threads of difference. And if we pull on one, right, like may be drawn to like, things may come together. And in one of these early passages, there is an image, right, of a nude male torso. Right? And Prinn describes a branding process wherein the perceptions of one person may be joined together with the perceptions of another. One man sees, another man sees. What they see is separate, but they both can see. But through this process, what they see can be the same. And then he inserts some kind of joke, which, the writing actually changes as the author is penning it. You can see the impact of the joke, as Ludvig asks the quote be recorded. Let those with ears hear.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Yeah, I'll be sharing my insights with Terrence.
And I'm looking, just like pulling my shirt open, looking at the brand on it.
And it is the same.
I don't think I see anything that Cal sees. Right. So you seeing what I'm seeing? What the hell is this? None of this makes sense.
Well,
But
think of it like an insect that has different lenses for its eye. It can see many different things through its lenses, its many lensed eye. But then it takes all of those disparate images and focuses them into one mind. I think that may be what it's trying to get at here. That you and Callum are like two lenses of a dragonfly's eye, and you'll learn to see together soon. Isn't that marvelous?
no, it's not marvelous, as a matter of fact. Or is that?
So,
No, it can't be.
so there's layers of this going on, like as we're reaching this point in the text, right? That the brand on Terrence matches the brand in the text might not be much of a stretch, particularly if whoever made the brand has a copy of the book, right? There could be imitation. There are reasons, there's explanations, right? But the process by which the brand is made is horrifying, right? And that description also resonates with the story that Callum and Terrence revealed of nudeness, right? Being in a circle, being surrounded by various objects. And Prinn goes into a significant amount of detail about what kind of objects these would be and exactly where they need to be placed, and how this heightens and extends the connection.
You and Callum went through this very experience, didn't you, Terrence?
Yeah, well, I woke up at the end of it. But I don't feel like we have any kind of special connection now, unless.
But then the words of the letter float through your mind.
You are mine.
Yeah. Oh my God. So maybe you're right about that whole dragonfly thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy with no eye, with no irises. Think he sees what I see? Think he's watching all this right now?
It's
How's he doing?
possible. Possible.
Explain that. What kind of astral? Jesus.
Well, I don't have all the answers. I only have suppositions.
We got some wild ones there too.
How did the author of the letter know about Smalls before you decided to go there?
Yeah.
How did he know about Edward Driscoll? How did he know anything about you at all? These realizations, these layers, this intimation of a magical world is growing to be too much.
Yeah.
And I ask from you that we find out how much this book is digging into your mind as you read and share its delights.
Delightful, all right. Let's see how we're doing.
For
how
Smalls
I'm
as
doing.
well.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well then. 5-9 versus 5-4.
Okay.
Oh, 77 off of 58.
So it's a good thing that you're together. And now Smalls has been able to kind of filter some of the horrors that he's reading, right? There's almost a tone of voice that's developing, like Prinn's voice, right? In the Latin, like the author's voice, right? The monk in the scriptorium is just a vessel through which the information provided by Prinn is delivered to the paper, right? There's no artistic tweaking. It's just the raw, direct, almost cruelty, or maybe it's just brutal honesty of Prinn on the page. But of course, through Smalls's voice delivered to Terence, this is mitigated and filtered somewhat, except that Terence lived through a moment just as being described. He woke among the dead, who then hungered for him. And the part where we break off here, Prinn is beginning to talk about the resulting hunger that comes when one chooses to make servants of the unliving. I would ask you both to remove 2 points of sanity. And this is crossing a precipice for Terence, which is dragging him into more permanent psychological harm, which we'll deal with separately. Offline. So you're a few hours away from sunrise. You know, the apartment above the shop has grown cold, right? The smell of the Chinese food sitting on the table has kind of permeated the room and then kind of decreased in its intensity, right? There's the musty smell of the book itself, right? And there's the smell of 2 men in close quarters who've been up all day. Right?
It's like an all-night gaming session when you're 13 with your friends.
And there's the horror of what Ludvig Prinn is so plainly and baldly describing in his book, The Mysteries of the Worm. His pursuit of immortality, his experimentation with the dead, his ownership of the senses of others.
What is it? Say anything on how to get rid of that?
Not in what we've covered tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk over to the cabinet where I know the bottle of medicine for his aunt is, and just pour myself a stiff drink and sit back down.
Well, it's been a long night of reading and contemplation. Perhaps we should take a snooze. And then after our morning ablutions and some breakfast, we should take ourselves to the site of the Scott Farm or the Gavigan estate. I mean, the snow's been coming down. I don't know what we'll see, if anything, at the site of the old club. Maybe it's been restored. Maybe it's been built up. It could be someone's private residence again. I don't know. But we should go either there or to Gavigan.
Sleep does seem to be a necessity, right? Conversation is slow and muddled and kind of circling the same points again and again, and it's not long before the page turning and the reader's voice of Albert Smalls becomes the snoring and heavy breathing of two exhausted and heavily put upon men, one of whom experienced finding one of his best friends traumatized and left childlike in terror, cowering beneath a shelf, right, having witnessed incredible ferocity, and the other of which found his beloved neighbor had suddenly and inexplicably butchered her whole family. The trials of the day have been too much, and the mind demands rest. However,
Yes, sleep is good medicine.
No real rest reaches you as you share the same dream. Sometimes from one perspective, that of a participant, sometimes from a different perspective, that of an observer. The experience is simple. The flailing hand of a man, right, that now you've seen newspapers, you know for certain to be Albert Gavigan, reaching out, screaming for help, right? One hand gesturing, trying to reach anything he can latch onto to stop the inexorable drag away from warmth, away from life, away from anything known, being dragged physically, being dragged temporally, being dragged dimensionally away from everything. The sharp, searing pain in your leg, the throb of your missing finger, the burning, writhing feeling of the true book gripped in your other hand. And then you wake the next morning, drained. And we'll close the curtain on the session here.
Oh, crap.
Crap, you say?
We're in deep. We're in deep.
Oh, we're in much deeper than we thought now. I thought we were in pretty deep into that last goddamn sentence. Holy mackerel.
I'm all about the last sentence.
We need to rescue Albert Gavigan.
We ain't got the right book, Freddie. We ain't got the right book. We're screwed. We're just screwed. Yeah, excellent. I'm gonna get this. It's got to scrape this off my chest, I think.
Your pound of flesh?
No, just that brand. Just cut it off. I can just peel that skin off. It'll be fine.
The book does need a new binding.
Yeah, I noticed that. I ain't taking that much off there, pal. There's only one of us big enough to make a cover for that book.
Oh, now you're getting personal.
Oh yeah. No, listen.
Right.
Oof.
Well, all right. Well, we've got one of our goals, though. We accomplished the fact that we spent a night studying. We've got an inkling, more than an inkling, of what the book, this book that we have, this quest of Prinn's, and what's happened to you aligns with what's happened in his time.
So I mean that's good. We established that.
I say you, Vicar, you were not getting experience points for that, man. It's game over.
We are the experience.
I think the only
this
goal
is
of
the
the only
experience.
goal of the experience is my sanity come crumbling.
You know, that's something that I've been thinking about a little bit. It's kind of crept up on me the last couple of years, and this game has put it in high relief. And I'm going to go down the game nerd rabbit hole here. With Call of Cthulhu and Delta Green and innumerable other games that are Lovecraftian or cosmic horror, with these sort of mechanical counters, countdown the sanity points and things, to kind of and also like bouts of insanity or episodes of insanity, like all of that is interesting and good. So this isn't a critique in that way, but I guess what I was thinking of is when you think about the actions of the characters, the more you get deeper into the mystery and the more things that your character does to interact with that mystery, be part of that mystery, to the outside world, to the sort of untouched world, what you look like is insane.
Right.
So, I'm wondering, like, I guess as I'm kind of continuing my life as a gamer, and particularly as someone who loves Lovecraftian motifs, um, games that I'm wondering, and again, I'm not disparaging that this game has sanity points or another game has episodes of madness or whatever, but I just think it may be. I'm just thinking you might not even need a mechanic to. We're already doing crazy things. Like I'm already talking to the book. We've already like holed up for the night, feverishly studying these journals, and like the landlady would say we were crazy just for doing what we're doing. So I find with a lot of Lovecraftian games, like you almost don't need a mechanism for madness, a mechanical countdown timer or count up timer or oh, you've hit your 20%. You're going to have a spate of this or a whatever. Yeah, just if you buy into the fiction, your character does start acting crazy.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we've all acted a little bit crazy. I've certainly been thinking crazy things, but that every time that like I've experienced a sanity loss, and especially this last time, I said, well, this is gonna, because I don't know the mechanics well enough to know what the permanent sanity loss is going to be, or potential permanent. It's almost like I hear not just a chewing and not just a step drag, but I hear like a crack. Like, as to me, it's this very visceral thing when like I'm already feeling in kind of getting in the character's head of like how nuts they're feeling or how, but when something like that happens, it's almost like this physical cracking, the feeling or sensation that like, something is really, it was bending a little bit. Okay, now I've really gone around the bend a little bit.
And I'm sort of, oh, go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry.
What I like is, I mean, when I first started playing Call of Cthulhu, it was kind of fun and entertaining. There were random lists of different types of phobias and whatnot, and you could like roll it and see if you could make sense of the rolled result with the situation, and why would this cause this kind of thing. But that was satisfying for its novelty. It wasn't satisfying for very long. But what I started to get into was the idea of what are the physical effects, right? So what you've pointed out, I love seeing in players, right? The willing to become obsessed with the mystery, right? What was Uncle Pete doing in the woodshed? That kind of stuff. What does this book really mean? And we know we shouldn't read the book, but at the same time, how could you not, right? What is going to happen to me? What do I have to look out for? What can I prevent? So, being willing to do these things that are on their face insane is a huge part of good play, I think. But at the same time, the characters in Lovecraft experience a breakdown, right? They physical effects, they become of a nervous disposition. They can't handle the various stresses that are placed upon them. They begin to suffer from this overwhelming input of things that they cannot correlate, they cannot accept. And this has a physical toll of some kind. And that's what I want to use the system for, is to provide, that sense of, it's difficult to concentrate, or you're repeating yourself a lot, or yes, you want to go there, but at the same time it's producing the physical effects of terror, of panic. So are you going to press forward into that, or are you going to give in to that terror and run away? And are you going to continue to run away? And so those kinds of things, as it becomes harder and harder for the character to marshal their intelligence to solve their problem, because there's, like Terrence right now is so distracted by, to put a word on it, his connection to to Gavigan.
Right. And there's a sense of like with the countdown, the sanity countdown in this particular game, other games do other things. There is a sense of, again, I'm going a bit meta, but there's a sense of the character, when some despairing level, knows that they're losing themselves. There's a sense of I'm not who I used to be. I'm going to, so there is that. You can literally like look at that dashboard and say, I'm very low on gas. Should I really push on, or should I, at this point in the story, or am I able to take a break for my own well-being and not engage with the mystery? There's that sort of tension of, I know that I'm slipping into the abyss, as represented by these indicators on my dashboard, my character sheet. Do I continue on and be damned, or do I trust myself? Maybe I make a roll against my sanity? I know as a player, and so I guess it gets into player agency. Like, I know that I want my character to look away, or not follow the figure down the alley, or not do whatever, but I may have to make a mechanical roll of some kind to see if I can affect that. So if in a way I'm, as the player, I'm almost the character's better angel in some even though I'm also pushing that character.
Some people are on the other side of that. Yeah,
that's true.
I'm the other guy. I'm like, like, go ahead, open the safe, man. Hey, you should, and then looking at the angel. What should you do? Oh, open the safe. What are you, a jerk? Come on, you wimp.
But I see, I've done some reading about, like, on the internet, about player agency and how different tools and different Lovecraft, like some games, like I did a review. I subjected poor Anthony and about 30 other internet YouTubers to a review of a game that I have a soft spot for. But in that game, if you fail a sanity roll, you either run away, just run, or you are frozen in fear. And that doesn't give you much agency as a player. So you get to that point of revelation, whether it's the monster or the terribleness or whatever it is, you're making that roll, and then you're either running away and leaving potentially your friends behind. Essentially, you're out of the story for a little bit, or you're just frozen and can't do anything. If it's a combat scenario, you're cake, you're done, you're toast. So I guess what I'm thinking of is that's a mechanical effect that does rob the player of agency, thus perhaps enjoyment of the game. Just when things were getting cooking, I blow my roll and I have to get out of the scene, or I'm stuck in the scene, but I'm also not really able to interact with it. So I guess,
and it's interesting, like on the story layer that you're talking about, and our ability to influence the story. That means, the game has stopped for you. And on the system layer, this also means the story has stopped for you. But I think it's weird on the character layer, like on the experience, if I were really there layer, nothing has stopped. Right? We're now exploring the idea of being frozen in fear and being powerless as our friends are being torn apart in the room, and they're saying, "Why can't you?" You know, and you're like,
Right. Throw me the thing. Throw me the thing. You know, throw me the
well,
whip.
that's
Throw me the
I
whip.
forget what I forget what game it was. You know, but I ended up being frozen momentarily. You know, and by being freaked out by whatever the hell it was. But I kind of enjoyed that because it was I always think of that scene in the movie Alien where the one of the women is just frozen and the guy's just, get out of the way, I'll shoot it, just get out of the way. And she can't because she's that terrified. And if you've ever been that terrified before where you just can't move, that's you're certainly there. That you're not out of the story or out of the game. Anything else, you're just stuck there. But like when we played Alien, which is very different, but has this part where you're starting to lose your crap, and it tells you, okay, well, this is how you're going to act. It gives you this prompt of how the player is going to be able to behave. To me, it's not really a loss of agency as such any more than any other effect that can happen in the game. You've become physically unable to do something. Your choices are a little bit more limited because your ability is a little bit more limited right then. But it's also, to me, this great prompt. Okay, well, now do this. So it just opens up in a different way, at least for me, because I'm like, I'll buy into whatever it is. So
yeah, I've been looking at, I have gamer ADD. Like I'm always looking for the better mousetrap. I'm always looking at the next shiny object.
Can't relate.
And there's another game that I've been leafing through lately, and a very simple system. But when you make a sanity roll, because it does have a sort of a simple sanity system, if you fail it, you lose 1 point off of your roll. So you're rolling 2d6 for most things. And if you fail a sanity roll, the next thing, anything you try to do in the game, whether it's cerebral or physical, it's 2d6 minus 1. You fail another sanity roll, it's 2d, and the next thing you do is 2d6 minus
that's brutal.
2. Right. So it's you can still do things. You're not compelled to run. You're not rooted in fear and compelled to sort of.
But you're dealing with consequences. Yeah.
You're dealing exactly.
Yeah.
Now it does have it's a very simple game, and if when you sleep, if you get to a safe space and you sleep at night, you can roll a d6 and get that many. You lose, those losses dissipate. I rolled a 4, so okay, I had 3 points of madness. I rolled a 4. I wake up refreshed. Maybe I'm still troubled in the story by what happened the night before or the day before, whatever. But I'm not mechanically. My hand's still not shaking so much that I can pour the tea, or I can think straight when I'm looking at the manuscript or something. So
I've got news for you. This ain't happening to us, because I swear to God, I'm not going to sleep ever again. Not with those dreams.
You gotta sleep.
From a mechanical standpoint, a 2d6 roll, those modifiers are enormous, and so thank God for percentile systems where a little less draconian, at least as things are going. But I'm digging, man. I tell you, last session, all I could think of is, my God, can you imagine Eddie Driscoll's experience watching stuff he couldn't explain, watch people get torn apart, and somehow why was he kept alive?
Yeah.
And here, I've still got that rattling around in my head, but I'm just still like, oh my God, I'm like.
But one of the big themes of this campaign so far has been denial. It's been really interesting. It's entirely possible that people would leave the site of that horror and talk about it forever, or something has got to be done, but physically shove it aside and focus on the next step, which I think is one of the signs of how these powerless, fragile, inconsequential Call of Cthulhu investigators can be heroic in their own way. I think that's
you got to compartmentalize all. They got to roll that stuff off, man.
I always thought Call of Cthulhu was the most heroic of games, because you're the small man with a massive job to do. And you can be the president of the United States in that game and be small,
Yeah.
based, compared to what you're up against. Like you can be a Terrence or an Alfred and be small, or you can be someone who's on top of the world. What does the world mean to the things that you're up against, or so I've always felt it's the most heroic game. And a lot of times you're sacrificing in obscurity. Like nobody's
Yeah.
going to throw you a ticker tape parade. You may have just saved the world, but you're an emotional wreck, you're a physical wreck. And maybe on some level, you might, if you make it through, you might recognize you've held back the darkness for one more day. It's just one more day. Whether that day might be the span of your lifetime, or it could be 1,000 years, but on some clock or calendar, that's just one more day. So I've always found it. I've had discussions. I have a good friend who I've gamed with since we were both in grade school. I've known him since grade school, and when we both started gaming, we were about 12 or 13, and he's always been one of these guys. We play Cyberpunk. He plays like the big tough gun-toting solo. If we're playing like Dungeons and Dragons, he's always the big armor-clad paladin. He's the superhero. He's got to be if it's superheroes we're playing, he's like the Mega Man, whatever. And I've had many discussions with him, but I said, why don't you? Because he doesn't like Call of Cthulhu. He has this sort of he has this almost allergic response to it. He's played it, but he has this allergic response to it. And out of our friendship, he has played it when I've run it a number of times, but we've had frank discussion. He just says, he says, in my life personally, and he wasn't down on him. He's like, I'm a typical nobody. I'm a nobody. He's like, I'm not unhappy. I'm not, and that's not like a condemnation, but he's like, I'm not, it's not like self-loathing or anything, but it's like, he's like, I'm just Joe Blow citizen. When I game, I want to be the talk of the village. Yeah, I want to be the talk of the city. I want to be the guy on the nightly news that does the amazing thing. He's
Right.
like, in my own personal life, I'm none of that. I make
He doesn't want to be Alfred Smalls. He wants to be Alfred Large.
Right.
Antiquarian to the gods.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody knows Albert Smalls. I mean, like, come on, look at that. Like, he's a larger than life, larger than
I
life.
think
People.
that's a pretty understandable, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because
I
always get
superhero,
into
I
like,
wanna be a Conan.
yeah, I'm like, don't you ever get tired? You kick down the door, you kill the goblins and the orcs, you power up. Okay, now you're going after but you just do that again, and you kick down more doors. You beat up on bigger things. You take their loot. Okay, you power up. Big deal, big deal. It's almost like this adolescent wish power fantasy, and we've really gone at it in a friendly way. I mean, we're friends, so but we go at it over cups of coffee or beer or whatever. And I've always said, doesn't that get boring? I love Call of Cthulhu.
Depends on what flavor you want that night.
Yeah, because the question can just be returned back to you, right?
Yeah.
Well, don't you get tired of being the
right?
The weird thing is, like, if you just want chocolate or just want vanilla, which some people do, which is fine. I'm kind of enjoying the smorgasbord of Baskin Robbins.
We've had a lot of fun, like doing the Donnybrooks in the village against the evil cleric and his undead minions, and I mean we've had great fun doing that. I don't mean to. I'm kind of poking at him a little bit. I know we kind of poke at each other for fun, but yeah, he could turn that. He could do a little. And he has kind of done like the little like a keto where he's kind of like, okay, yeah, but yeah, don't you ever get tired of like just running out of sanity and starting the game knowing that you're doomed and knowing. I don't know. I love the mystery of it. My favorite part of Cthulhu is that sort of that intersectionality where the mundane lives of very understandable characters meets the ultra mundane, and that sort of, there's that spot where what's going to happen in their lives, what's going to happen to reality, what are the choices they're going to make.
Listen, Smalls, if you're waiting for that, it's like you missed. It's like 3 sessions ago. And I still think you're talking about saving the world. We're not saving the world for a day. Like, listen, You know,
Well,
and we've got like
we
Eddie's witnessed the horrific stuff and like is whimpering like a poor little child. I could live with that with my pal.
well,
We've got what's Gavigan like trapped in some interdimensional thing. And in the meantime, I got this damn thing branded into my chest, and some blind guy's looking through my eyes, and all you want is another freaking set of dumplings. Okay.
well,
And
here's the thing with
But
Smalls.
they're really good dumplings.
I
They
know they're
are,
damn
yeah.
good
A whole
dumplings.
what makes a damn good dumpling
And
platter.
every time I think I'm
Um,
getting my shit together, excuse me, you come up with some other you cocky man. You
Well,
know, it could be.
here's-
It could be. As a
but-
matter of fact, it could
but see,
be,
here's
it could
the
be
thing.
coming to send you. I'm like,
As I
"Oh,
look at
no."
As I look at Smalls, he's the type of character. He's probably been a wallflower his entire life.
Right.
He's lived in a world probably. In my mind, I'm thinking he's lived in a world of disappointments, both in his own self, like he's probably got regrets associated with his physicality or lack of it. Yes, he's reasonably comfortable in his little shop, but he knows that there's a world out there that he's never explored. And suddenly he gets to be, it's almost exploratory. It's almost like, yeah, even if we're doomed, another world has opened up to him, and a world that, I don't know if the word is privileged, but there's a world that he may not save the world, but he's going to see a damn sight. I keep thinking of in Blade Runner when what's his name, the android there is like, I've seen sea
Roy
beams.
Batty.
Yeah,
Roy
yeah.
Batty, yeah, I've seen sea beams off the whatever.
Shoulder
I've
of
seen
Orion.
attack ships on fire. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe, and I kind of, he's a throwaway. I think of Roy Batty as he's a throwaway. He was designed for a purpose. His battery's going to run down, and but he's got a soul, and he's telling you that at the end of that story. So I see a guy like Smalls. No, he's not Roy Batty. He doesn't have that physicality, but he's got that I will see things, or I hope to see things that you people wouldn't believe. Not out of any sense of spite or, a sense of sourness at other people, but I just he's probably on some level, he's just so tired of being locked in his physicality and locked in his little world. And this, no matter how perverse it is a door that's opened to another reality. And he's got roadside companions. He's got Terrence.
He's got victims, is what it is. I tell you what, Smalls.
No,
Listen,
not victims.
I understand. I understand. This is all very exciting for you. Now you got somebody here. You got a captive audience when you got all these thoughts and stuff like that. But you don't have to tell me all of them.
Yeah,
which I think is great.
Well,
that's from Terrence's point. It's like you're great. It's wonderful. You're having this wonderful time. Oh, this what an exciting life. And you keep on thinking these horrible, horrible thoughts, and you can't keep them to yourself.
No,
you gotta
it's
tell
like
Terrence.
we're on the deck of the
teetering,
ship.
It was teetering on the edge, just trying to hold his crap together. As a matter of fact, this could be from another dimension. I was like, no, I don't want to hear this. And about the guys, the wiggling hands and wiggling feet in the wall. No, I didn't see that. As a matter of fact, I'm like,
it's like we're whale watching, and you're scared, and you don't want to look over the rail. And I'm like, but you've got to see them. It's magnificent. Or what could be down there as we look down into
we're
the
not
depth?
whale watching. We're watching fellow passengers being eaten by sharks. And you're like, oh, look at that. I think that's his liver. And like, I don't want to see. I think I know that guy.
Well, that's true. I mean, you guys have been through a visceral. I mean, Alfred's kind of done all this so far from the comfort of his shop, and
I'm saying
it's a good contrast.
Metaphorically,
Yeah.
I'm saying that metaphorically too. It's like McSweeney is just trying to there's got to be an explanation. In the meantime, Smalls is saying all those things that McSweeney's kind of thinking, but it's not saying. And you're the unfortunate guy that's just going to say all this stuff.
yeah, but you're the unfortunate person that's had a very, it's one thing to sort of marvel at the physics of being thrown off of a roller coaster. It's another thing to be thrown off a roller coaster. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's another, you've actually, had your seat unbuckled and like been through the trauma of that. And meanwhile, Smalls is saying, notice the trajectory, notice notice
I
the
say, McSweeney, does that scar itch? That's quite interesting.
He's just sort of marveling at it from a cerebral,
which I think is awesome. I like that. Interplay.
But he hasn't had the visceral real and been abused like you and Callum have been abused.
Yeah.
I like
I like
all
that
caught
little
up in the
interplay
trap.
between them. Yeah, yeah, no, that's cool. So don't take it the wrong way. I think it's awesome.
No,
McSweeney's
no,
just
it's
like,
great.
shut up, will you please not talk anymore?
Yeah. No, it is. It's a great. It's two people looking or experience. We've had very different experiences. We've had some shared experiences, and I think where the characters go with it, I think that's another thing I love is kind of play to find out. Like I never would have thought like when that whole scene when Mickey came around and there was that little scrum outside the that little dust up outside the diner. I That surprised me. Like I was like when I'm like, okay, he's throwing a punch back, and I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, it came out of my mouth. It was my
Yeah.
brain, but suddenly I guess there was a dimension. I'm like, he's had enough of. He's probably spent his whole life, kind of skirting schoolyard bullies and tough guys. Either in the schoolyard or as he reads the paper and sort of shakes his head, and so suddenly he was in that moment and made a choice, and that choice surprised me.
Yeah, no, if you're in the
So
zone, you discover things about your character just like you discover about yourself when you're, in the moment. And I
right,
can't believe I just did that or said that.
it's like
And
writers when they write about characters and they say I wanted to write this character off, but they refused to let me. Or that kind. I love the play to find out, like, because a lot of Call of Cthulhu scenarios, they're written there's a script, there's a rough diagram of how it should go, but it very often goes in a different place, or the characters act in different ways that make it a very different than just sort of. That's why I kind of have a little beef with a lot of reading reviews of I know I'm going further afield here, but like a lot of reading, like armchair reviews of a lot of games and things, like the proof is in the playing. Like I've seen certain like adventures and scenarios like that get savaged by armchair reviewers, and I've played those adventures and I'm like, that's not the experience I had at the table. Like we had such because the book or the manuscript is one ingredient, but the interplay between the characters, how the keeper or the game master presents it,
Uses their prep. Yeah.
uses their prep. Yeah. Emphasizes some elements, de-emphasizes others, makes adjustments on the fly. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can provide Smalls with a visceral experience in our next session. I have to depart.
as do I.
My day is beginning. But
Oh,
thank
my
you both
goodness gracious.
for
Thank you.
playing.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yes.
going to be able to go to sleep. That's great.
Good.
Thank you both for providing me with a wonderful night
That was
of
awesome.
exploration and entertainment and wonder.
You
I
too.
really enjoy this.
It was a hoot. It was a hoot as always.
Yeah.
Take care,
All right,
gentlemen.
kids. Yep. Recording.
Good night, all.
You are mine, and you must obey.